7:15. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. And I would like to entertain a motion to add another couple items under new business. One, to have a brief discussion just to catch Bob up on the what went on with our bank. And two is Amanda had some ideas about additional documentation to go on the website for, providing a simpler information about the budget. So I'd just like to add those in since this is a regular meeting and we can do that. So do I have a motion to that effect?
I move that we amend the agenda under new business item 5 to include 2 additional items, one being an update from our bank in regards to any interest, and the second one in regards to
Amanda had some idea for some simplified.
Some ideas from Amanda in regards to the presentation to the public.
Yep.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Then I will just do a vote, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So it passes unanimously, and for Ashley, the members present are me, Ross Lally, Mather, Bob, and Amanda. And Bob made the motion and Amanda seconded it. It passed unanimously. So we can then move on to public participation. And I'm looking around and I do not see public on here. So we will move on to approval of the minutes and we'll just go through them. We have 3 sets of minutes.
You don't need 4 for a form.
Yeah. So we are all set. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for April 25th as is, and then we can discuss for the public hearing. Someone going to make a motion?
At the moment. Someone else does it.
You don't need to approve them. You don't need to review them now. We'll just talk on
No,
it.
there was one word I missed.
No, just if you could just,
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the public hearing on April 25, 2023.
do you have a second?
I second.
It was Bob making the motion, Mather seconding it. Discussion? Now you can complain about the word that's missing.
It's just one word. I don't know if we missed the first one.
Which word?
It was at the end.
I think there would definitely folks that aren't in here, because I wrote down the names.
Yeah.
I don't know if that matters. Like Paula, I don't see Paula's name in here.
And Leah was the one who mentioned about the school system.
Hi, I just want to let you guys know, so I had to go back and do the minutes off the recording because there are a few names that I couldn't hear at all. And when I went back through the recording, some people didn't mention their names even after Ross told them to say their names multiple times. So I don't know if you got the names and you can correct me, but it was really hard to hear people.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Not everybody came up close to the mic.
No. When I looked at it, it looked like we covered the range of sentiments that were expressed unless anybody disagrees with that.
And the word that I found missing wrong is not in this.
Any further comments? Amanda, you look like you're stuck in mid-thought.
I don't know. Even whether or not people will feel like they were. Because they don't have the context that actually gave us. Seeing other people listed, if they will feel like they were left out for a reason or not.
Well, maybe we could just
Is
make,
there a way to make,
go on. No, there's,
is there a way to make a notation of that on here? What Ashley just said, that we weren't able to hear names and.
I think that makes
I think that's a good idea.
This is somehow incomplete. Technically.
Ashley, could you add that comment? Just, it's just basically a note to the effect that we could not get all the names because, people spoke very quietly or did not give their names. Something to that effect.
Yeah, is there any certain place you want me to add it, at the beginning, at the end, or where I just put someone because I couldn't hear their name?
Just at the end, just an asterisk to say,
I would just put it up front, actually, just so then everybody, they don't have to read through and get to the end, just put it up front and note, we were unable to get, everybody's names because of how quietly they spoke or they didn't give their names, something to that effect.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah, I'll just put it right up front. And then they won't read through and wait to get to the end to wonder what happened.
although the second paragraph does say someone asked. how many
Yeah.
times.
So that will explain to someone. All right, any further comments? Again, this is just on the public hearing minutes. So all those, I'll entertain a vote at this point, all those in favor.
Motion to approve?
We already had that.
Oh, okay.
So there's just a vote.
Oh,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ashley?
Amanda.
Amanda, I'm sorry. So that was approved unanimously by all present. Let's go on to the April 25th special meeting minutes, which followed immediately thereafter. So
Motion to approve minutes of the Board of Finance special meeting on April 25th.
do I have a second?
A second.
So Ashley made the motion. I'm sorry, Amanda made the motion. It's like all these three A's here. Amanda made the motion and Mather seconded it. Is there any further discussion? You all set, Mather, or you need a couple more minutes?
Um,
So then I will call for a vote. All
Wait,
those,
wait a minute.
what?
Bob Monroe and Christine Gorley was not there.
Oh, that is a good point.
And it should mention the absent board members.
Okay, Jill, if I might, did you get the message from your secretary that I was?
Yeah, yes, and I did tell everybody you weren't going to be there.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Then we take off Bob and
Kristen.
Kristen. Oh, that's right, because she wasn't there.
Yeah, I wasn't in there. Oh, I'm sorry, 25th, was,
Anything else? Just have the comment to remove Robert Monroe and Kristen Gorley, since they were absent.
I will move to amend my motion to approve the minutes from April 25th.
Do we have a second?
seconded.
Okay, so the amendment was seconded. So then, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions passed unanimously by all present. We can now go on to the minutes for the special meeting on May 4th.
Do you want to make a motion to have a discussion?
No, we haven't made the motion yet, so we can discuss it at this point, and then we could always just make the motion afterwards.
On number 3, ongoing business. I think it's not super clear how we get to from the 100 minus the 25 to the 91,000. I think we just need to maybe specify with additional revenue adjustments made by Jill Collins, so that they understand, like, there were some other increases that brought us up from the 75,000 back up to 91,000.
And we should say the need for taxes was reduced by 91,575, resulting in the lower mill rate.
Go ahead, Jill.
Jill? You're muted.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, that's okay. It's just, there's an increase in the 23. And there's which decreased which decreased the mill rate in 24.
Yeah,
No, I think it's just not clear the way it's written. Because it says, and especially with the mill rate would be 43.82, which is $91,575 less. Because we actually got to the amount, which is 91,500. The amount needed in taxes is $91,575 less because of the money given by the Board of 2023 money that the Board of Selectmen didn't spend this year, which will then go back into our general fund and be used as revenue for 2024. So how do we want to word this so we don't drive poor Ashley crazy?
Maybe I'd like to suggest that with in 3 ongoing business in relationship to Amanda's observation here, the last sentence, it says with the adjustments made by Jay Collins, the mill rate would be with other positive adjustments made from newer information, something like that. A little shorter, sweeter.
Yeah,
And they go on, made by Jill, the mill rate would be 43.82, which is blah, blah, blah.
what do you think, Amanda?
writing my thing, but putting me on the spot. So I would say, with the additional adjustments made by Jay Collins to the 2023 revenue based on new information, the mill rate was reduced to 43.82 as a result of the amount needing to be raised by taxes being reduced by $91,575.
It's fine.
Yeah. Mather?
Yes, fine too.
Yeah.
Just know that without saying additional adjustments.
Can you say that slower?
Yes.
No.
Say your name.
Repeat that
And,
again?
and state your name too, loudly and clearly.
This is Amanda, with additional adjustments made by Jay Collins to the 2023 revenue based on new information. The proposed mill rate was reduced to 43.82 because the amount to be fundraised, or not fundraised, the amount to be raised by taxes
Taxes.
was reduced by 91,575. To make it clear to people on
Yeah.
that side.
Yeah,
Not easy to.
was that understandable, Ashley?
Yeah, I think I got it. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else that you want to have done?
For B, for B, I believe it should say we're changing our accounts to 3% variable interest rate, interest on anything over 3 million instead of 7 million. Correct?
I think that this was, hey, Jill, just correct me if I'm wrong. This was was this their worst case scenario and that there are other scenarios and the Board of Selectmen needed to pick?
Correct.
So they are not actually making those changes. They have proposed they've proposed several changes,
Two changes.
two
Two
changes.
options, but that has changed since. But that's what you were told that night, so.
We need to have this reflect what we were told that night. And if there are changes, we can cover that, in our later discussion tonight.
So should I change it to they are changing to they are proposing?
Yeah, they were proposed. That was the worst case scenario proposed.
So they proposed a worst case scenario.
So I gave you the worst case scenario. That I gave you just the worst case scenario to base any revenue information on.
Okay,
So that's what it should say. Jay Collins said,
Right.
Chelsea Bratton said
proposed.
a worst case scenario.
Of changing,
It gave a worst case scenario of changing our accounts to,
Well, they gave two scenarios, the lesser of which was changing our
Right.
accounts to a 3% variable interest rate. How's that?
And then getting interest on anything over
3 million. So interest on over 3 million instead of over 7 million. Anything else?
To approve the minutes from a special meeting.
Do I have a second?
second,
Mather made the second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions, it passed unanimously by those present. And then we can go on to elected official and town staff reports. And I am looking, but I do not see anybody from the Board of Education present, unless somebody's hiding. And I guess we could entertain any questions that we could have for Kristen Hecht to reply to, if there are any. Anybody have any?
I guess one question I would have, not that there's anybody here to answer it. is, there are a couple items that are 100% expended already.
Could you mention those items and then,
Well, under regular instruction, education, continuing education. Special ed is, yes, well. Well over.
so basically there's several that are expended. How are they going to be managed and what's the impact going to be?
But yeah, I'm still anticipating that they won't need any from the future.
Anything else for Kristen Hecht? I said if not, then we can move on to the tax collection summary. Jill, anything on the tax collection summary, or Jim, anything we need to be alerted to?
Not that
No,
I'm aware of.
That remains, collection remains, robust and at a very high level.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's what it looked like to me. I don't know if it looks different to anybody else, and just would ask if anybody else had any questions.
Then we have to make up what, $11,000 plus, the last couple months. Not bad. Looking at the total. Get the revised.
Yeah, 10,272.12. Yep.
For my edification purposes, can someone explain to me how the percentage collected goes?
Because it's based on the revised revenues now. The other one,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other questions, comments on tax collection? Then we could move on to the town update.
Well, I think the next sheet in your package is the revenue statement as of April 30th. You'll see there that there's some revenue still yet to be collected. One of the ones that stands out to me is the building official service. So, we'll make sure that those things, they're going to want to get them paid before the end of the fiscal year anyway.
Well, they can't because we don't bill them until the
we won't bill them until the end. So,
Correct,
but it's kind of one of those ones that stands out at the moment.
right.
'Cause it's a
And we'll put it in as a receivable and it'll go into this fiscal year. It just, we can't bill it till June 30th.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think generally we're on track with the revenues that we had planned for the fiscal year.
Correct. We've kind of looked at that thoroughly the last few meetings prior to coming up with the budget, so, and nothing has changed drastically since that time.
Right.
Well, we still have a huge gap in the interest expected. But that, it seems like we're addressing that. Whatever.
Any other questions on town update? Looks like they're just a number of relatively small transfers. Any further discussion?
There is a fairly big number here on the Board of Education, the ESSER grant. They're still due 100. Get that? That comes in. Well, good to go.
I'm sorry, what?
If we get that in, that we're good to go.
That
Yeah.
last ARP
Yes.
ESSER grant.
Yeah, I have no idea whether they are now still expecting that or not.
Yeah, we were looking for 169,000 and we've received 17. Looks like the interest account.
So add that in. That's a good catch. Thank you, sir. Anything else? I say, I don't think we have anything else under town staff reports. So there's nothing to go under other there, so we can then move on to new business discussion and action on a transfer to the suspense fund account.
We already have the
The amount should be,
and the wording of
yeah, it's on the that statement from Lori Bushnell.
he approved the statement as recommended and presented by Lord Bismarck, tax bucket. That would address the delinquent and what the $9,705 worth of stuff that we think is uncollectible.
I have a second. Second for the motion.
Second.
That's for you. Okay.
So then, any further discussion? You need some more time to look at, and any questions to ask Amanda, by all means. You have any questions, Amanda?
Nope.
Okay. Want to make sure you're okay with it. So then we have a motion and a motion by Bob, second by Mather. Hearing no further discussion on this, then I will call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions passed unanimously by all present. So
If Bob
Jill and-
Monroe can please sign that. And then Ross, if you can put it in the same place you put the question last week.
you said both Bob and I sign it?
No, just Bob needs to sign it.
So the copy that I have, I can sign.
Sure, that would be perfect. Yep, thank you.
Always been relegated to the vice chair.
Ah, that I didn't know. Need a pen. And then it goes up on that door over there. Today is the 18th. All set, sir?
Yep.
We'll put that up on the door. Yes, and then we get to discuss two massive transfers to cover significant gaps in our budget as Board of Finance.
We came short in our budgeted amount for our advertisement by $2.14. Sorry.
Oh, I mean, well, oh, you guys did a terrific job. But we're not gonna approve it. Don't worry.
Oh, okay, we'll tell the Hartford Current that, sorry. No, I think it's a JI actually.
Maybe we can shake them down for the money.
Okay,
So I have a
I make a motion that we approve the two requested transfers by the Board of Selectmen to cover shortfalls in two different accounts totaling about $2.14 in total.
I second it.
So I had a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the motion to approve these two transfers, say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstentions, motion passes unanimously by all present. So
Ross,
I
if you
presume
can just sign them.
that's me, it looks like, signs
Yep,
these.
yep. Sign, if you can sign them and then put them in the same place and then Jim will sign off on them, hopefully. And then we'll be able to pay them.
I don't know, Jim's a, hard, what on stuff like this, so I don't know. Let's see. Okay, we got 3 items over there in the mailbox on the door. So then, why don't we move on to the 2 items that were added to the new business discussion and then talk a little, so first one would be to talk a little bit further about this bank update. Bob and I were talking and just would like to get a little better understanding of where this where this is and what looks like might happen and what's the impact on our numbers should the budget not pass on the 23rd.
Jim, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to let you talk about it since Chelsea Groton met with the Board of Selectmen the other day.
So, Chelsea Groton did meet with the Board of Selectmen at the AP meeting the other day, as Jill said, and we had a very good discussion. And the Board of Selectmen have asked them to sharpen their pencil and come back yet again. So we are still looking at it, but as soon as we get a proposal back, we will take that in discussion again and see where we fall. Right now we're looking at maybe making some changes with the interest rate and the fund balance that is there in order to gain that interest rate. And so it is actually a very good discussion, and they seem to be open to making some additional changes and sharpening their pencil and coming back.
Jim and Jill, I'd like to offer and some thanks to you guys and the Board of Selectmen. I am very happy that they arranged to have them here. It may have been a little bit rough. Nevertheless, it has achieved its desired results. And if we're talking about the possibility of interest on an average of $10 million for the course of the year, that is significant. And I would think, based upon my following of current events, et cetera, that it would be hard pressed to see much of a decrease by the Fed in the coming year to get down below that. So when I'm looking at that number, I'm thinking that we may have done very well for ourselves with a bank that has now showing themselves to be a bit more of a partner than a taker. And I am pleased with that. And that could be significant to the tune, in my thinking, of a couple $100,000. So that could make a very positive impact on our budget.
Yep, and see everybody else here is nodding, so we all agree. Again, thank you for arranging this initial conversation, and it's something we had talked about too, just that it doesn't hurt to ask.
Never hurts to ask.
Because you might get, worst case, you're no better off, and better case, it's like what happened with this discussion.
Now we just have to get the budget passed, so there's extra money in the account.
Yeah. Any other questions or discussion on the bank stuff, Matt, or anything, or?
No.
So then,
Oh, before you go on, Jim, and I don't know if you guys ran any numbers at all, but when you do hear back from them, I certainly, hope it gets relayed maybe, so that we could look at it too and make some calculations as to what the significance would be. Now, we were at 0.5% for most of this year, that will be ending June 30th. They did come back, the first initial blush was saying, okay, well, we could make it 1%, maybe starting next year. So this is a significant departure.
yeah,
And one that is much more in the ballpark called fairness. Okay, so and it could be very, very important to us.
yeah. Well, I'll
Yeah,
just see.
And I think it's been helpful for them too to have, a full year of history with the town. They understand, what we cost them, because, there is a cost for them to do business with us, with the check readers and the armored car service and all of that. So I think they have a really good sense of what that cost is. And I think, that with the, and clearly the financial atmosphere has changed over the course of the last year. And I think those two things combined, you know, with the ask, it, you know, has made them look at this. And I get the sense that they truly value the town's business. And I think that's, you know, important. And that's, you know, that's why they're willing to, you know, that's why they were willing to make the initial proposal. And they seem very willing to, you know, go back and sharpen their pencils again and come back with, you know, maybe a little bit better proposal. So
A team effort.
Yes.
we'll
excellent.
be happy to share whatever information comes back.
Yeah, because yeah, in a timely basis, of course, you know, and because it could have a significant impact on what we're doing.
Yep, I know it's not going to be available probably next week, but it would be nice if it was available as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Our compliments to
Yes.
to the bank on their cooperation and for them to review this subject matter, which we felt was very important. And evidently, obviously, was elevated in how they viewed it as the level of importance as well. So it worked out good for us.
We'll be sure to pass that along.
Thank you.
Thank you. So then let's move on to the other added item, which was, Amanda, you had wanted to talk more about providing some more clear, simplified documentation on the town website for voters, which was basically in a more easy to understand format and supplemental to what was the officially required documentation.
So last year, I noticed that the presentation that was used at the public hearing was then made available with some tweaks before every referendum. And so I had kind of made a misassumption, apparently, that the presentation we had done for the public hearing would also get posted before each referendum to supplement all of the required documentation that the town has to post. Only because I think, like, when you go to the town's website right now, the presentation from the public hearing is no longer there. So there is no plain language explanation of the budget available on the website. So, you know, after I had sent out the revised presentation to the group so that we could look at it tonight, Jill had said that the Board of Finance is no longer allowed to communicate about the budget. My reading of the law.
You mean, when you say the law, you mean the our town ordinance?
There's the state law, the state general statutes around communicating about the budget was that the town could, I mean, and maybe it's the semantics between whether it's the Board of Finance or the clerk, right? But that we were allowed to post information on the budget as long as it wasn't swaying voters in one direction or another, as long as it was just informational. But then Jill had said that, I mean, and maybe Jill, maybe you want to step in and explain, but my understanding of what you said is that the reason it was posted, the presentation was posted before each referendum last year was because it was inclusive of the required documents. And the reason we couldn't post this presentation this year is because it didn't include the required documents.
No, what was at the PowerPoint presentation that was at the public hearing was not presented in the budget document. There was a whole different document for the public hearing. The budget document is the budget document, which is just changing the information within the document, the information required by your town charter. And your PowerPoint presentation did not include any of the required information. Pretty much it didn't. There's specific requirements based on the town charter.
Right. I get that. I guess my question is, can we combine the two and post it all as one thing?
At this point, it's too late. It has to be in by at least 12:30 tomorrow in order to do that. And again, I told the board before that I would give the town clerk and Sue Ellen what's required by the town charter for the Board of Finance. I met that requirement for you. But it has to be in by tomorrow.
last year, the whole packet, including charts and graphs and the letter from the Board of Finance and all the plain language stuff was also included in what was shared before each referendum. Because I looked at it before each referendum. So I know it was posted. So I mean, if it's you compiled all the required stuff that's required by charter, right? And you had mailed that out yesterday, I think,
Yes,
right? So if I can get it to the town clerk before noon tomorrow, it can all get posted together. If I can combine your document with the
Well, we would
Our
have to
presentation.
review it.
right now. So the only thing that I changed, I don't know if you guys looked at the presentation, is I added a slide that explained what had changed between the public hearing and now, which is at 91,575.
and that information is incorrect though, because you said it was 24 revenue, you said it was non-tax revenue, and $16,000 was tax revenue from 23. So the first half of that first page is incorrect.
Okay, so it would need, I mean, I just, maybe not, if, I guess I could say, if this referendum fails, I would like someone to work with me on getting out some plain language before a referendum, because I think it's really, like, for me, this is the biggest part of why I'm on this board, is making sure we're transparent with the public. And I don't necessarily think that really complex charts of like the budget are digestible for the public.
The average
so-
person, I will agree with you, they're not, because we hand them out at the polls, and when they look at them, they
Sure.
don't know what it means, and I can't, and because I'm there as an election official, I can't help them with anything. I just have to give it to them, and they sit there and they look at it, and they don't know what it means. They just look at the first page and see, this is what's, my taxes are going up, and they either like that or they don't.
Yeah, so at the very, well, no, I can't. Jeff, at the very least, if we could post what we shared at the, repost what was shared at the public hearing. Like, just as, like, this is what happened in the past, you know, so that it was at least out there for people to see, but it might confuse people because now the
Yes.
proposed mill rate has changed, but now I just don't think people are gonna understand how it got from the 44.05 down to the 43.8.
So it sounds like
so-
there's a lot of stuff we would have to do tonight and get done by tomorrow and make sure it was 100% ticked and tied. So I guess my question is, if we can't do that, Jill, is there an option to provide this should we need it for the next vote?
What you need to understand is at this point, you're going every 2 weeks until we get to the week with that, it's 4th of July. There's a lot to get done, and you only have till the Friday of after that, you pick a new number. So
Yeah.
right now, that budget document, I put it in one place and it filters all the numbers. When all the changes I put in one place and it filters all the numbers. And I mean, it's taken me 7 years to get it to do that. So in order to change that, it's just not that easy. And it's not a document that it just changes. I mean,
So- I don't think we're asking to change what you do and the part that you pull together. It's more like you leave that piece intact. We update our PowerPoint to make sure that it's aligned with it, and then you could publish them together.
that's up to you. That's not up to me. That's what. you
That's
do.
what we just wanted to make sure.
I can't answer that question.
Just
It's
understand
not
that
up to me.
as I'm new to the process, sometimes how I like, you know, I'm not, obviously I got the numbers were right, but the sources of them were wrong, right? And so like needing help, making sure that I'm using the right language or referencing the right things in the slide is all. I mean, it's really not a lot of changes. The only thing that's gonna change moving forward, right? We changed the revenue because we could, but now moving forward, the only thing that we would be saying is the Board of Finance reduced the budget by such and such amount, and trying to explain what that means to the public, because last year I think that was lost in between the referendums. There was a lack of understanding again how the Board of Finance can reduce it but not reduce
Well,
from
I
a
get-
line item.
Yeah, and I guess the first question I would ask is, does anybody feel that what we had in that presentation was advocacy for the budget? I didn't think so, but that doesn't mean that someone else might interpret it as any of it as advocacy. Because I think that's the key thing to avoid. You know, especially that each of us in an official capacity makes no advocacy, doesn't advocate anything. Is an official of the board, and the same thing with our documents. Because I thought it just put the facts out there that this is the way it go. This is just the background.
You can try hard to-
Very well.
So it sounds like it would be a real pain in the what to do this. And again, Jill, I'm not going to ask you to go and redo your document because I understand that's a lot of work. This would be just making sure that we had a simpler front end on it. And yours stays intact. Nothing changes in that other than the amounts, if any, after this referendum. And then we would just put this other piece up front with it. Does that make sense, Jill and Jim? Any concerns about that?
Well, just the timing. It has to be timely, factual, and accurate.
Yeah, and it sounds like,
And that's, and I think that, I think the challenge is going to be getting the information for Jill to review in a timely fashion. We still have to run the town government. So this is an extra ask above and beyond, normal daily responsibilities. So, we have to get that information from the Board of Finance as rapidly as possible so they can be reviewed for accuracy. And then, then there's the opportunity to get it posted on the website along with the other information.
yeah. So I guess my question is, if we have that front piece on there and we brought it up to date, well, that also depends on what other information we go and put in after this.
Correct.
Because we could do something as simple as Board of Education, you reduce by X amount. Board of Selectmen, you do this amount. And
Well,
then
but
nothing.
it may also be more complicated than that, right? I mean,
Right, well, that's
you
where I
know,
was going next. Yeah.
right, because the board, Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, could have, additional monies to give back as we get closer to the end. There could
Yeah.
be changes in revenue that we don't anticipate. There's so many factors that we have to consider. So I think, it's really gonna, it may be a little more complicated than just creating it right now and then changing a couple of numbers, as we move forward.
Correct. That's exactly it. It gets, and for my document, when the Board of Education is reduced and the Board of Selectmen, their budgets are reduced, there's a page for that shows exactly the reduction. It doesn't show where it's coming from because obviously the Board of Finance can't
Yeah.
choose that, and that comes later, but that's included in there. So, but again, like Jim said, it could be more givebacks, or it could be a change in revenue, which we can't show on the document. So there's a lot of moving parts, and like I said, it's rapid. It's very rapid because we have to have that into the town clerk by that Friday.
Yeah, and I guess my fear is that we rush through it and make a mistake because
Yes.
that really destroys the transparency
Right.
that you're trying to build, right?
And that does happen. It has happened, and it's tough not to make mistakes when you're having to do it so quickly. And the more you add to it, it's very stressful. You can ask Jim. I've gone into that office with the document at the end of the day on Friday, just so stressed out. You have to do it quickly, and it becomes very stressful because you don't want to have mistakes. I mean, everybody makes mistakes. I understand, but
Just
That's
make
the
a note
last
that
thing you wanna
Kristen,
do.
just making a note that Kristen Gurley has joined the meeting. And it's 8:10.
Are we allowed, if there is a change in projected revenue, are we allowed to recognize that revenue? Because I was trying to read the charter and understand how the.
Not, you cannot, you can recognize it only to create the new mill rate. but
Right,
do
after
not
the budget.
recognize it.
That's what I thought. Okay, just wanted to confirm.
And we did try to get them to change that when they were doing the revision to the charter, and that didn't go over though. Because it is very confusing not to be able to put it down in writing.
Right.
Well, these people don't know where it comes from.
Exactly.
I mean, I think the intent and the ask is noble. I just don't know if it's, I don't know how achievable it is. I think the answer is if we can work together and try to get it done in a timely fashion, perhaps it's worth the effort.
I mean, I just think for me, like the thing that would be helpful, regardless of if we could at least post the public hearing document somewhere on the website where people could go see it, because I think it's hard. I don't think it's up there at all anymore.
It should be as one of the exhibits. It's not attached to the minutes, is it, with the minutes? As an exhibit for the public hearing?
We don't.
I haven't looked for it or looked at the website, so I don't know. And unfortunately, I'm not sure I have any staff this week.
It was removed
but I-
it was removed, Jim, along with the Board of Selectmen's original budget. I'm not sure. And I don't know if Sue Ellen, I don't know if she thought that's what we should do. And, it's totally up to you and the Board of Finance, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think
want-
there's any reason it can't be up there.
I agree.
I just wonder if people are going to get confused by the change in the mill rate and wonder why it happened.
Well, so that gets to my point is I don't necessarily feel like the whole presentation needs to be posted before every referendum, but I do think that somehow we need to make it a priority that we are identifying in plain language every change that is occurring. So this is what was presented at the public hearing. This is what we're presenting to you now for referendum. How did we get from A to B? All right, now we're on referendum number 2. How did we get from B to C? Like it needs to be in plain language somewhere. What is happening to get to this reduced budget, I think.
Well, I mean, it is there, right? It's in your minutes. It's not, I don't, people have to look for it. But perhaps you could take the minutes and oversimplify them and say, after the referendum, the board took these actions and the end result was X. I mean, that would be a simple one-page document that, that probably would literally take minutes to generate.
Right.
Because I think that would be, at the very least, that's something good that would be.
People need, especially if people didn't attend the public hearing or chose not to vote in the first referendum, like they should be able to see how the current budget was gotten to, I think. So, I guess more to discuss, but if we could even if we post the public hearing presentation on the Board of Finance page, it doesn't need to be on the main page of the website, but if we can post it somewhere so that people who missed it have access to it. Unless it's in I don't think, no, because I tried to look at it before the meeting and it wasn't on the Board of Finance page.
Yeah, I suspect Jill is correct. If she said it was removed, it was likely removed.
And Sue Ellen, she didn't know any better, so.
Oh, no, I'm not trying
No, I understand that. I didn't know, she asked me what to do with it. I said, put it on the website, but I didn't know how Jim wanted it presented or where it was to be presented. So, and we certainly, if we told Sue Ellen, can you put them all back up there? She would have no problem with doing it. If she comes in. But
Right. Unfortunately, she's out sick.
Okay.
All right.
But we'll do what we can to get it back up there.
Yeah, because if that would be at the very least, that would be good if it was there with the public hearing minutes, because that was part of what went on.
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah, I think that's appropriate.
my intent is by no means to like try to give you guys extra work. I'm, happy to take on the work myself and get but again, it boils down to, am I understanding the concepts well enough to put them into the words that actually are right? So.
But it sounds like maybe we found a good compromise,
Yeah.
which is,
the minute-
just a one-page summary of the actions that the Board of Finance took,
Yeah.
If there is more than one referendum, if we do that, together, right afterward, it's essentially, it's just your motions.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then we could include that with the budget document. And I think that would be a minimal amount of work for, everybody and less chance of making a mistake. And then I think this goes on to the parking lot items for moving forward when we have a little bit more time and whoever the new Board of Finance winds up being Finance Committee, that this is, a suggestion that, we pass on is that transparency for the public. Because we've gotten comments last year and this year about that document it gives everybody what they need, but they're not familiar with the process that we go through with putting it together, and it looks like mumbo jumbo to them. Anything else anybody wants to add? So let's just keep that in mind for when we get to the
One
next
thing,
meeting.
if and Jim, just if I might, I don't know how soon we're expecting to hear anything back from the bank. But maybe by, next week or something like that.
I don't know that we gave them a date, Bob.
Okay.
They needed to go back and talk with some higher ups at the bank. They indicated it would be fairly quick, so
Okay.
I would think within the next week or so, we'd have something back from them.
Right, and I'm just saying, if we don't get anything, that maybe, a phone call to one of the contacts, just say, geez, we were hoping that we might be able to get this because we're in the, throes of budget here. That
We can reach out. Yep, absolutely.
that would be good, just to follow through if we haven't heard back.
Because it won't do anything for Tuesday, but if there's a need for us to do more on Wednesday, then it would be good for Wednesday.
Yes.
Right.
The Board of Selectmen have to vote on it. They are the ones that have to make the choice. So until they meet on it, we won't know.
Well, if we hear something back that's positive and substantial, which it could be, then, a special meeting would be appropriate so that we could adjust the budget and the mill rate in time for a second referendum, if that's where we're going. But your point's well taken, Joe. They would have to approve it. Fine and dandy. Let's find a way to do it.
It sounds like it would be very hard to make that happen for budget referendum 2, but possibly for 3, and I hope we don't have either of them.
Understood.
We shall see.
in terms of presentation and communication, if I can, do we know of anybody else who's planning on, I heard that there might be signs out from the PTA, people might be out.
There's signs going out. I saw some today in town.
There's a lot of vote signs up.
Yeah, there are.
And the town's referendum signs have been out, I think, for about a week now. And I think, on probably Monday night late or very early on Tuesday morning, the bright pink vote today signs will be going out.
Do we know where the blue and white vote signs? I mean, they look nice, so, and that they're eye catching. Do we know where those came from?
PTA.
You don't like the pink?
The pink is nice, but as far as really catching the eye, the blue and white, that's done well. I've been able to see them on,
Yeah,
I think you just
those
hurt
are-
Jim's feelings.
Yeah, I think those are the PTA because it says support our students.
okay.
Yeah, and Hebron's got their vote on the same day, so I hope people don't get confused and go to the wrong town.
Okay,
Never can tell. Well, at the last election in the fall, I had somebody come in from Vernon who wanted to vote here.
You didn't let them?
Nah,
They're voting yes.
I sent him
And we-
back.
and-
He was just really surprised when I said, well, you have to go to Vernon. And he was like, oh, and then turned around and went right out.
And we will likely get somewhere between 6 and 10 people arrive at town hall to vote.
They still do.
They still do, yep.
I was asked today if there were 2 places to vote, and I said, nope, just one for the referendum.
Mhm. Oh, we should probably get that one.
That is very confusing
Yep.
for people because they've been told there's 2 districts, but they don't understand it doesn't include the town budget referendum. It is confusing.
Yes.
So I will be starting my
And we
social
will,
media blitz this weekend.
and we will also, in the morning of the election, we being the registrars and probably me, will be going out and putting signs out along with a couple of other people because we have our own sets of signs saying where to specifically vote that point. So we will be doing that as well.
You're gonna sleep when?
I think till about noon or later on Wednesday.
On Wednesday.
I try to wake up in time for our meeting at 7:15 in the evening. No, I'm usually up like in the morning and then I'm awake until midnight with all the registrar stuff. So whatever. So
Well,
anyway,
thank you for doing that.
thank you, sir. So let's go on to like our ongoing business, which is the budget calendar. And it looks like we are pretty well set to go with everything.
Right, so we have the meeting on the 24th, all set, ready to go at the
Yeah.
town.
And budget question was to the clerk way before the 5th, before the 19th.
No, that's not the question, that's the budget document.
It says budget question due.
Well, yes, it's due by, I'm sorry, yes, you're right, and the budget document has to go into her by that time.
Yeah,
But we
have
try to get the question in as soon as possible because they need time, obviously, to print the,
Yeah, we
ballot.
have to print all the ballots, and if we don't get it in way before the 19th, it isn't gonna happen. Which is the same thing we have to do at our special meeting, if we have to do this again, is get our act together, figure out what we're gonna do with the numbers, and I have to get that over to the registrars to go and get new ballots printed, which again, I hope we won't have to.
Can I ask a quick question just about the calendar and the voting? If somebody has to fill out an absentee ballot, when does it have to be in by? Is it,
We're not doing mail in, you have to go in and get them, you have to go in and get it and fill it out in person. You can't have it mailed because
okay.
of the time.
And when is the cutoff date for dropping it off? Is it on Monday?
Monday, I'm trying to think. No, I think it's Tuesday by a certain time. I'm trying to remember. Let me think for a second. No, let me look it up.
Okay,
It's slipping my mind right now.
okay.
And when do they become available?
They're available now. We've already gotten 12 of them. I should know what the due date is for them, but it's just slipping my mind. I'm going blank, but I can look it up.
Okay. People have been asking, so that might be something if somebody's gonna get on social media to convey.
Yeah.
So they'd have to pick it up
Mhm.
tomorrow or Monday, essentially.
I'm pretty sure, I think it is on Tuesday because we have to go and pick them up by
Mhm.
5 o'clock or so from the town clerk.
Okay,
And then we count them at 8 when the polls close.
Okay.
So I think you do have some time on Tuesday, but the sooner you do it, the better.
okay. I know people are coming back from college and
Yeah, this is
Okay.
because of the short amount of time that there's no time for mail-in.
right, okay.
anything else on the budget calendar?
It's gonna be a hybrid meeting on
Yes.
Wednesday, because, because as I mentioned before, I'm supposed to be prepared to celebrate an anniversary the next night, and I'm gonna be on Cape Cod.
Jim,
Hybrid meeting.
as far as the town clerk and when the absentee ballots need to be in, wouldn't that be something that'd be good to have on the website? So that
Yes.
for individuals.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good. I can talk to Liz about that tomorrow.
Because I just
Wasn't-
went real quick to see if I could find anything to answer Kristen's question.
should
and
be
I
on
didn't see
there, but-
anything.
Yeah, Liz would have that, but I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it's by like 5 o'clock or so. They have to be in and received and all that good stuff on Tuesday at the very latest.
But I think that would be good to have on
Let's
the
check.
website to answer questions.
Yeah,
I agree. Good suggestion.
Maybe under the budget information. When you first open the page up and you see the budget document and maybe there so that people don't have to search for it too.
yeah.
It's just a thought, just,
Or wherever we have the vote on, the vote reminders on the website, it could all just be
Mhm.
there.
Or all of the above.
Yes, or all of the above. Because not everybody goes looking in the same places.
right, so if it's right there, because that's the main thing that's happening right now in town, I think if we, as soon as you open the
Yeah.
page, would be good. Because that's where the budget document is.
All right, anything else on the budget calendar? And if not, I will ask, no, I won't ask for an adjournment quite yet, but I will say that thank you all for helping us get this put together. People in the room and those online as well. And I truly and dearly hope we don't have to do this again, but we shall see. And the only thing I will just ask folks to do is to think about, should it not pass, what you feel our next steps are, because I heard strongly from members this was a turning point, a change in where we were, and the bills were coming due, and that this budget is the budget. And in the past, we've also said that, and then we've cut it. So I just would ask you guys to think about that. What is the message we're sending? And do we want to keep doing the same things over again? And again, I'm not saying to not cut, and I'm not telling you to cut. I'm saying just think about what, the message is, and the fact that we're not going to get anything different if we keep doing things the way we have. So again, I don't know what the answer is, but I just want folks to, really think about it. So then at that note, I will entertain a motion for adjournment. Second.
Well, I just got here, but I'll say.
Yeah, you can participate on things that have happened after you arrived. So we are adjourned at 8:29. Thank you.
Good night.